All right, welcome to Training Tuesday. We are so excited to have you all here today. All right, we're going to go over our Training Tuesday agenda. We're going to go over our updates and reminders. Our main topics today are going to be BidBuy and the Illinois supply contracts. And then we'll end with our Tuesday takeaway. All right, updates and reminders. We are only 111 days left until the fiscal year end closes out. Enough time to react if the hearing is requested or if the sole source is not approved. As a reminder on communications, you must be including your communications regarding a procurement to the procurement file. We are getting ready to dive into BidBuy reminders, but please note that you are encouraged to upload your communications at each stage of the procurement. This will help to assure that you don't miss any communications you had while developing the requisition when you are uploading your communications at the PO. And if you don't upload at each step, it is required for all communications to be included in the procurement file. We provided some tips and tricks on how to consolidate your emails into one PDF in our Training Tuesday from September 24th, 2024. All right, today we're really going to cover some reminders for BidBuy. If you're trying to identify master contracts, you should complete your search prior to logging into BidBuy. Once you log into BidBuy, you're generally limited to only seeing the procurements that your agency is completing. By using JPMC in your search, you should be able to identify master contracts that your agency may have the ability to release from. You will need to utilize the Release Off Master Job Aid for these existing contracts. Additionally, our UP team participates frequently in cooperative procurements. You can find them by including NASFO, NVP, Sourcewell, or SW in your search. There are a few others that they have participated in as well. UP also has provided a listing of past participations that you can find on our website in the UP section. If you identify an UP participation that your agency would like to use, please utilize the UP participation job aid if you identify any opportunity that would benefit your agency. As you are completing the requisition, please make sure to pay attention to these areas. You will need to select Open, Blanket, or Release as the requisition type. Release should be used if you are actually releasing against an established master contract. The type code will be completed based on the requisition type that you selected. If you choose Open or Blanket as the requisition type, then you will need to choose the appropriate choice for your procurement. Some of those choices are equipment, general services, and commodities. It is important to assure that you make the correct selection in order to route it to the appropriate approval path. If you are completing a release, you must assure that the type code matches the original procurement method, meaning if CMS completed an IFB to establish a joint purchase master contract, then you would need to select IFB as the type code on the release. The special procurement type should only be used if that is the procurement type being utilized. These include sole source and emergency. This should not be utilized for small purchases, even if they have sole source or emergency conditions. Again, only if it's a sole source would you select sole source additionally in that special procurement type. The release begin and end dates need to be utilized when the agency is completing a release against a master contract. These are important fields to assure that the release is going to occur within the master contract term. The type code for the bid reminders, the type code must reflect the actual procurement method that is being utilized. We see confusion on this frequently. Again, mixing up that if it's a small purchase with sole source conditions, we see agencies want to select sole source as the type code, but that's not correct. Again, if you've taken my intro to Illinois procurement, that will be where we identify that there are 6 procurement methods. Small purchase is one of those, and sole source is one, and emergency is one. Those are all separate. So if you are doing a small purchase with sole source or with emergency conditions, the type code must still reflect small purchase. The bid opening date must be during normal working hours. You must open the bid at the published bid opening date and time. So it is very important to assure that the date isn't a holiday or day that you are planning to not be in the office. If you are not going to be able to complete the bid opening on the published due date and time, you will need to work with your SPO to extend the due date or see if there's another buyer at your agency that can open the bid for you. If the solicitation is not opened at the bid due date and time, then the solicitation is not in compliance with the Illinois Procurement Code and would not be able to move forward. The info contact should reflect the buyer that is responsible for the procurement. The info contact should not be the end user. The vendors are able to see the info contact information, and it is who they are directed to submit any questions to. So again, we want those questions, if there's any from the vendors, coming directly to the procurement team and not directly to end users. The special procurement rationale should only be completed if the procurement method is one of these. Therefore, if you are completing a sole source and it is selected as the type code, then you would also select it as the special procurement rationale. However, you should not select any special procurement rationale if the procurement method is a small purchase. Another reminder is to assure to update the accounting tab if there have been any changes to the items tab between the rec approval and the current bid structure. The accounting tab drives approvals, so if this is not updated accurately, it may lead your procurement to not go through the appropriate approvals whenever you submit it at bid. Purchase order reminders. The type code does not transfer over from the bid. You will need to select the type code that matches the procurement method that was utilized. If you completed a small purchase, please assure that you aren't selecting sole source or emergency, even if you completed a small purchase with special conditions. The type code must match the procurement method actually utilized. The full SAP contract value should only represent the value associated with the current term in addition to any preceding terms. Meaning, if you are just entering into the contract and there are future renewal options, then the only current initial term value would be reflected. If you are entering into the second renewal, then the SAP value should reflect the total value of the initial term, the first renewal, and the second renewal you are entering into. The award amount must reflect the initial term and any renewals. Overall, this entry must match the notice of award that was published and may be different than the full SAP contract value based on the SAP amount being reflected by the contract term. The BEP and VBP goals need to reflect the goals that are reflected in the vendor's U-plan and what they have committed to meeting during the contract. So once we get to the PO, we're no longer reflecting what the goal percentages were on the solicitation. We're reflecting what the vendor is actually agreeing to meet in the resulting contract. Let's go over again CPO Notice 2025.05. CPO Notice 2025.05 was issued on January 6, 2025 and went into effect the same day. House Bill 5511 was a procurement omnibus bill that was signed by Governor Pritzker on August 9, 2024, with many changes going into effect on January 1, 2025. This bill provided a new amendment to the Governmental Joint Purchasing Act. This amendment provides that the Chief Procurement Officer may authorize any state governmental unit to purchase or lease supplies under a contract procured by a state agency. Governmental unit is defined by Section 1 of the GJPA and includes local governments of Local units of government in Illinois, like cities, counties, and municipalities and state agencies. CPO Notice 2025.05 provides greater detail on how this process will work. We're going to dive into that now. Each state agency head will need to review the agency consultation for supplies contract. The agency head will need to identify their state agency and then make selection for state agencies and state governmental units. The selection options are allow all qualifying contracts to be used by another state agency, not allow any supply contract to be used by another state agency, or require consultation each time another state agency requests to use a qualified supply contract. When a blanket approval or denial is provided, the SPO shall notify the agency when a request to use the supply contract is received. After making the agency's preferred selection, the agency head must sign the form. The completed and signed form should be submitted back to your SPO. If your agency did not complete the form by January 31st, you can still submit it to our UP team. If your agency has any changes that they want to make to the original selection, that can be completed at any time by completing the form and submitting it to your SPO. So again, if your agency has selected a blanket approval or a blanket denial, then whenever agencies request to utilize that contract or piggyback against it, they will be able to, our UP team will be able to advise them correctly that either that is an agency that has provided a blanket approval or a blanket denial. If your agency has requested a consultation each time, every time the UP team receives a request to do a piggyback, they're going to reach out to that agency for that individual consultation. The agency wanting to use another agency's contract is known as the requesting agency. The requesting agency must submit the CPO approval for supply contract piggyback form to the SPO. Then it will route for approvals through UP and the CPO. The agency contract must be active. CPO Notice 2025.05 defines active contract as the termination day the contract has not passed and has not been fully performed. The CPO will not authorize a procurement of supplies from an expired contract as it is no longer active. The request is for supplies and does not include services. Supplies have the meaning set forth in Section 1-15.110 of the Procurement Code. Services have the meaning of Section 1-15.90. The contract award shall be published in BidBuy. The new job aid will be available in the UP job aid section on our website, and you can find that now. Technology was working against us earlier, but again, it's out there and ready to be utilized. After receiving CPO approval of the piggyback, the requesting agency will be required to publish a notice of award and then enter into their own contract with the vendor. Please note that the agency must gain SPO approval to execute prior to entering into the contract per Section 10-10 of the Illinois Procurement Code. In order to gain approval to execute, the requesting agency must have their own contract with the vendor. The requesting agency's contract termination date shall not exceed the termination date or complete performance of the other agency's contract. The requesting agency's contract shall include current and vetted financial disclosures and the standard Illinois certifications. Reporting. Pursuant to Section 2A-15 of the GJPA, the requesting agency shall report to the CPO the dollar value of the supplies purchased from the contract each year. By August 1st, the requesting agency shall report the dollar value of their purchases made from the July 1 of the preceding year through June 30th of the reporting year. Reporting may occur any time prior to August 1st. We will provide greater detail and aids to complete this reporting requirement closer to the first reporting window. So let's go through a few key points of the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. This can only be used to purchase supplies. If a contract has supplies and services available, and the supplies can be purchased and utilized without the services listed on the contract, then a requesting agency may be able to obtain approval for the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. You will need to obtain current and vetted financial disclosures and standard Illinois certifications. The price that the requesting agency will pay must be at the same rate or negotiated lower. Shipping costs may be negotiable based on reasonable negotiation. For instance, if the originating agency contract was for delivery in Springfield and the contractor is in Springfield, then the delivery cost was likely very small. However, if the requesting agency completing the Illinois supply contract piggyback is in Chicago and the vendor is still in Springfield, a reasonableness test for increased delivery costs would be considered. Warranties and models must remain the same for the requesting agency. If the originating agency had the model with all accessories included as one line item, then the requesting agency must move forward as in that line. However, if the originating agency had a line for a base item and then accessory lines were separated out, then the requesting agency would be able to select which accessories were going to be included in the Illinois Supply Contract Piggyback. Thank you for joining us today. You can find all of our training opportunities in the CPO Training Center. We do have different BidBuy offerings. We have those on demand. We have BidBuy office hours, and we also have diversity and inclusion and procurement training, all of which you can find on this link. In addition, we have our CPOGS Training Academy courses. We offer Introduction to Illinois Procurement, Specifications, Procurement Methods Small Purchase, and Procurement Methods Invitation for Bid. If you want to take Invitation for Bid, we have those coming up. We have lots of dates noted on our website, but please note that to take the Invitation for Bid class, you must have already taken specifications and have a certification. Life hack for today, pasta lighter. If your candles are burning too low to reach the wick without burning your fingertips, use an uncooked piece of spaghetti as a match. All right, thank you all and have a wonderful day.